Welcome to another video from McFatter Tech Musser. If you like these videos, please click subscribe.
Well, welcome back. This is our 7th video in our series of videos where we explore the different types of technologies that our students have to demonstrate as part of their final project. In this video, I'm going to be configuring WSUS, Windows Server Update Services. And if you've been familiar with Windows Update for some time, you'll know that it went through a whole bunch of different name changes. It was Update Services, Software Update Services, SUS, Update Services, US. It was Windows Update Service, WSUS. I think they kind of figured out that was kind of a strange name, because everybody started calling it WUS, WSUS. And so they renamed it WSUS, Windows Server Update Services, which is pretty much where it's at now. I always think that that's kind of funny, but that's me. Maybe you do too. Who knows? So if you remember when we left off on our 6th video, I had installed WDS for doing deployments. And we had deployed a Windows 10 virtual machine with basically a heavy touch. Every installation portion, every installation step had to be manually clicked on. We want to be able to deploy an image that's already pre-configured, right? That's kind of why you want to do this. You don't want to just deploy a copy of server or a copy of Windows 7 and then have to go through all the setup and the updates and install the applications. You want to be able to have that desktop computer disposable. All the user folders are redirected. Have a golden image that you can deploy that's got everything there. The user logs on, group policies, redirect their files back to them. Everything's good. So we got that Windows 10, but how do we get it updated? Well, we could do Microsoft Update and all that stuff, but we want to be able to continue to update throughout in our environment. So we need to configure WSUS. Now, I've also set up a copy of Windows Server Core that I deployed from my WDS. And it's sitting there on the left side of your screen, just that black screen, because it's applying its latest updates. Once that's done, it'll reboot, and then I'll be ready. I'll do one final check of updates, and I'll show you how we do that. And if it comes back and says there's no more updates, then I'm going to sysprep that, and then we're going to capture that image. We're going to do the same thing after we've updated our Windows 7. Well, to do that, I want to be able to configure my WSUS. So let's take a look at how we do that. Here's my Windows Server Update Services machine. I've already given it an IP address, static IP address. It's joined to the domain, all those things. We're ready to install the roles. So we go to Manage, Add Roles and Features. Here again, I could do it through PowerShell from another machine, but we're here. We're going to do it. We're going to roll through. It is a role, Windows Server Update Services, right there on the very bottom. We're going to add those management features. We're going to click Next, 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 and you can see that since we're doing this in a test environment, we're going to use the WID, the Windows Internal Database. If this was my production environment, I'd probably have a SQL server somewhere, and I could select SQL Server connectivity. We're not. So those first two items get checked, and it says, hey, where do you want to store the updates? Well, here again, let's take a look. Do I want to store them where the operating system runs? Probably not a good idea. Probably not a good idea. So let's take a look here. So what I'm going to do is, rather than store them where the operating system runs, I'm going to add another drive. So we're going to go to File, Settings, and we're going to select SCSI Controller, Hard Drive, Add, New, Next, Next, and we're going to call it Final WSUS Update Store. Next, we'll leave it to the default size and finish. There's our drive. It's attached, but it's not not provisioned yet, right? We got to go into disk management. Should be getting used to doing this by now. We're going to right click, we're going to bring it online, we're going to initialize it using our GUID partition table. Then all we have to do is create a new simple volume. Next, next, next. I'm going to name it aptly, update, store, and finish. Format takes a couple seconds, and we're there. Now we're ready to go. So, where are we going to store them? I'm going to use D \updates. Next, next. Leave the web server roles just the way you see them. Next, and install. Now, like anything else, that when we install a role or a feature, or specifically roles, like anything else, when we install roles, typically we're always installing just the role itself. It's not configured. WSUS is no different. Installs everything we need for WSUS, but then we have to do the final configuration. And that's when we're going to start making it work for our environment. Additionally, we're going to be using group policies to tell our systems to look for updates, not only just where to look for those updates, but what to do with them. For example, our servers, we wouldn't want to automatically install updates and have it reboot in the middle of the day, right? So I've already created a group policy for servers. I'll show you the one that we're going to do for the desktop computers. But for example, we point to our update server. We tell it to notify to download an update if an update's available. Notify to install if an update's available. So I'm going to manually have to check that. I want to be hands-on with my updates. I want to test those updates and ensure that I'm not going to cause a problem on my network by installing an update on a server and disrupting the ability of my business to function. That's our job, right? It's one of the pillars of cybersecurity also. Availability. We have to maintain availability. That's part of everything that we're doing here. That's what we do in networking. We'll create a policy for desktop computers, and since we're going to test these updates before we install them, and you'll have a very high confidence level that the updates are going to work, we're going to authorize them for immediate install. We want to control the updates that are going to our desktop computers versus relying on the user, right? They got enough on their plate already. Okay, so our installation's complete. Launch post-installation tasks. We need to do this before we can actually go into the configuration. So I'm going to click on that. You'll see the prompt changed to please wait while your server is being configured. This is going to take a minute or so, and then we'll see a confirmation that it's done. So once this is done, then we can actually go into Windows Server Update Services. In there, in the options, when we start this up for the first time, it's going to roll us through the wizard. Understand that you're not going to be able to do WSUS unless you are connected to the internet, because it wants to do an initial download of those products that you configure it to get, those ones that you're going to distribute. So if you're in a test lab with no connection to the internet, don't do WSUS. It's going to sit there for days, well, maybe not days, but it's going to sit there forever and then finally come back with an error that it couldn't connect to the update servers. Okay, my prompt changed. I can see it says configuration successfully completed. I can close. And now, before I do this, I want to verify, I want to make sure that I'm still connected to the internet. So I'm going to ping Google DNS. And I am, so we're good. And I'm going to make double sure, because I want to know that my DNS is resolving it. So -A in my ping, resolve the A record, the IPv4 record, and it does. But we should be good to be able to pull for updates from Microsoft. We're going to go to Tools. We're going to go down to the bottom of the list, Windows Server Update Services. So it runs us through that configuration wizard. It's going to roll us through all the different things, and it's going to ask us some questions. Are we configured to allow clients to access the server? Blah blah blah. Roll through this. Understand this. There's lots of documentation out there on how you do these things. You can also watch my other videos, by the way. Okay, Microsoft Improvement Plan. It's as a test environment. We don't need to do that. We're going to uncheck that. This server is going to synchronize from Microsoft Update. If we can build a hierarchy of WSUS servers. I could have one connecting to the internet to Microsoft Update. I could have other downstream WSUS servers that would connect to this one. And so I could approve one set of updates and have it distributed through a hierarchy of servers. Lots of different ways that you can do this. So we're going to synchronize to Microsoft Update. We have no proxy server, so we can just click Next. And we can start connecting. This is going to propagate that list of what we can get. Now, this is going to take a while. It's going to give us a list of available languages. By default, I'm US, so it's only going to have English selected. But all the various products, when we want to go into that, when we're done here, we're going to go into that and we're going to deselect everything except Server 2016. That's where we're going to start off. Small subsets, right? Keep it manageable. Now, like I said, this is going to take a while, so I'm going to pause the video. When we come back, we'll be at the point where we're ready to proceed through this wizard. And I'll see you all in just a little while. Be back before you know it. Okay, well that only took 15 minutes or so. Not too bad. So the progression is done. We can click Next. Next, we're going to see what the different updates are available in what languages. I could select more than English if I so desired. I'm not going to. I'm going to click Next, and now it's going to propagate that whole list. Now you go, oh, nothing's checked, nothing's checked. Scroll down here. There's a lot of things here, and when we get down to Windows, you'll notice everything's checked. I'm going to uncheck the entire subcategory. We're going to come down to Windows Server, and I'm going to select Server 2016. That's what we're working with, right? We'll do Windows 10 later. For now, I'm just going to do Windows Server 2016. I want to get through this, so click Next. I'm going to just allow those 3 sets that are configured right now. Critical updates, definition updates, service packs. That's good enough for now. Next. I'm going to tell it to synchronize automatically every morning at 3 a.m. Why not? How many synchronizations a day? How often do you want your server to check for updates? Might be kind of important. You know what? This is a test lab, but still, we want to have best practices in our test lab also, right? So I'm going to say, you know what, every 6 hours. I'm going to say 4 times a day. And we'll click Next, and we'll tell it to begin that initial synchronization. So here again, it's going to check Microsoft Update. This is going to take a little while. This is the first initial synchronization. So after we finish this up, here again, I'm going to pause the video. We can see the next steps, creating those groups that we're going to point to with group policies and such. We're going to click Finish. Okay, our initial setup is done. If you look here, I'm going to bring up, and you can see, you go, oh, well, it's not doing anything. It must be done. No, you got to select that server. Now, by selecting the server, if we look here, we can see that first synchronization has begun. I'm going to be creating 2 group policies to apply Windows updates to either servers or desktops. I'm going to create 2 groups with that same name. So I'm going to expand my server. Here at Computers, I can see it shows all the computers. That's the only category right now aside from unassigned computers. By default, without using group policies, that's where they're all going to go in, and then you got to move them around. It's a lot of work. Let's let group policy do the work for us. I'm going to right-click all computers and say Add Computer Group. My first group is going to be called Servers. I'm going to click Add. I'm going to right-click. I'm going to add computer group, and we're going to call it Desktops. Click Add. Depending on how you do your system, may be done by geography, maybe by location, by role, sales, whatever it might be. A little concerned that it's just, oh, there it goes. It's just maybe that synchronization's pulling some resources, so it'll clear up here in a second. The bottom line is our synchronization's going on. I'm just going to let this sit here. I'm going to pause the video, and when we come back, our initial synchronization should have completed. See, a couple minutes have gone by, we're still at 0. We don't want to sit here and wait and watch this. So as soon as it's done, I will be back.
Okay, we're back, but as you can see, looks a lot different than when I just stopped the video, right? Well, remember I was creating those 2 folders, the 2 containers for computers, desktops, and servers. Well, and it was taking a long time. Well, what I didn't realize was that I had not limited the maximum amount of memory that my WSUS virtual machine could take. It's running a database. Databases love memory. Guess what? My recording software crashed. When I got it to restart, my input had changed, so I had like half an hour of video that I recorded with no audio. So here we are back again. So I've actually configured WSUS. It's set up, it's working. I'm going to show you a little bit of what I did here. So as you can see, I've already got computers reporting to this. I've got a total actually of 8 different systems on it. You can see 2 of them report, 2 servers that is, report as being fully updated, fully installed. I'm going to show you how we got to that point, and if we look, if I drill into all computers, there it lists everything. If I select desktops, well, wait a minute, I did a Windows 10 machine, didn't I? Well, it's not listed as failed or needing an update. If I switch this to any status and click refresh, there it is. It's updated, but a whole bunch of new updates came in, and it's turned off right now, so it hasn't had a chance to check whether it needs them or not, and then update against WSUS. Under our servers container, we can see here again, 4 of my updates still need, or 4 of my servers still need to have updates installed. We're going to do 1 or 2 of those, and if I switch that view to any, there we go. We can see those servers that are fully updated, and that's only updated as current to right now. The moment that this WSUS server does its next synchronization, every one of those systems is going to go to unknown, because at that point, you see, they're all going to go to no status, because they'll say, well, I haven't checked whether I need any of those yet or not. How did I get those computers, those servers, those desktop computers to automatically go into the desktop folder and the server folder? Let's take a look over here on my domain controller where I'm running group policy management. I created 2 new GPOs, WSUS desktops, WSUS servers. And here are the settings that I defined in those. And you'll notice they're not quite the same. They're close, but not quite the same, because I want updates to automatically install on my Windows 10 systems, but not on my Windows servers. That might be a bad thing. Server updates and automatic restarts during the middle of the day? No, we don't want that. So for example, turn off auto restart for updates during active hours. This is my server policy. If we look under configure automatic updates, I've got it set for notify for download, notify for install. So in other words, don't even download the update, because I want to test those updates before we tell our Windows server to get them. If we look at that same setting over here on the desktop system, and compare them side by side, you'll see it's set automatically download it and go ahead and schedule it. And if automatic maintenance is involved, in other words, the system's idle, go ahead and install it. Different ways to control the way our different products get their updates. Bottom line, though, is you want to test these updates first. Make sure that you're not going to have a problem. We define how they're going to connect to our server right there, http // final WSUS /8530. That's for HTTP. If I had a certificate that secured this, if I was running certificate services, which I have not set up yet, then it would be 8531. Okay, a couple of basic settings. Play around with those. You find what works for your environment. But I created those two policies and then linked them to the hierarchy in my domain, right into the domain. So if we take a look here as well, I created some security groups. This allows me to filter what gets what. You'll notice right here, WSUS computers. I've got a security group that my WSUS desktop systems will be a member of. If I select my WSUS server group policy, I've got a folder that my WSUS servers are members of. Let's go take a look at that. If we look under Active Directory users and computers, and just give this a moment for it to open up. There it is. Here's my security groups. There's the organizational unit that I created for that. For example, and here's my two global security groups. If I click on WSUS servers, members, I've got one that I didn't add. So I'm going to show you how we add that. My final DC2 is not there. If I click add, type in final DC2, the computer name, check names. Nope, I must have typed something wrong. Oh, by default, it only looks in user, server accounts, groups, and other objects. You have to select object types, select computers, click OK, check names, and there it does. So there's all 7 of my servers. So I click OK. So it will now start reporting to WSUS. Up until now, it wasn't, because I didn't have any settings telling it to. It'll now get that group policy. If we look over here, we can see there's those 8 servers. My Windows 10, Final WDS, Windows Deployment Services. Is it even turned on? Let's take a look. It's not even turned on. You can see, if you right-click that title bar, you can add categories. For example, operating system, IP address, name. These are all defaults, but I add in last status report. When did it last report its status? When did it last make contact? This tells you immediately, one single pane, one single view. When did my systems last contact looking for updates? When did they last report their status? And you can see right here that system's been turned off since December 20th. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get that fired up. We're going to go just tell it to start. I'm just going to let it start in the background. Now, one of my other servers that does need it is, for example, DFS1. Needs some updates. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to connect to that. Because it's already gotten it's already received the group policy setting. It's added itself. It happens automatically. We simply need to set the one option in WSUS to tell it to look at group policies instead of the level targeting. And we're going to take a look at that. While that interface comes up, I'm going to jump back over here and show you. Under options, we go in here to computers. Specify how they connect. I've got it set. Use group policy. If you say use the update services console, that's all that manual work you got to do. Keep it simple. I also have set my WSUS to, I'm trying to talk too fast, set my WSUS to automatically download updates for my Windows Defender, for my antivirus. I want to get those. Well, do I want to have to authorize them? No. I set an automatic approval. You do that here. So you can see definition updates. And you go through, you can create a new rule with the same thing. You just specify what classification, what product. Do you want to specify a deadline? In my case, I've got definition updates. When it's in definition updates, approve it for all computers. I could do it by a specific group if I wanted to. And if it doesn't install, set a deadline. Perfect. And it's checked, so it will automatically run. Now, we got our final DFS up running here. So let me go to settings. We're going to go here to update and security. Look, they're already there. I just turned this on and it already found the updates. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click download. These are going to take that cumulative update. This is the first time we've done updates on this. They're going to download pretty quick because everything's local, right? But that cumulative update, it's going to take a while to install. Trust me, I know. I'm sure you may have experienced the same thing. It's downloading. You say, well, you know what? My system updated, it restarted, and I want to get that update. I want to see that on my WSUS console. It still shows it's got updates pending. Okay. So if you right click and you go into command prompt. Now I'm going to make my font size a little bit larger, making it easier to see on your screen here. Go to font, and we're going to take this up to 28. Now you can see that all right. If I do a \WI, use tab complete, press the tab button, another /SYS, hit tab 3 times, 1, 2, 3, another /WUAU, tab complete. That's the update mechanism, that's the update reporting, Windows Update Client, a space, and then we give it a switch of /report now. That would tell it, hey, report to your console, report to WSUS. If I wanted to, I could do the same thing. I could do a command line and tell it to detect now. But it's already doing that. It already did that. If I look over here on WSUS, I may not see any different, or it may have updated already. It may have shown a report. Last status report. Let's see, DFS1 right there, 155. It has not updated yet. It will. Trust me, it will. So that update's running. Let's jump back over here. And as you can see, preparing to install updates. We've all been there. We've all seen this. It'll happen. It'll run. This is how we configure our systems to do those updates. We tell it to use group policies. We tell WSUS, we set that option. Remember, it's right here under options and computers, how you specify the computers get organized. We go in, we create the group policies, we link the group policies. Now, if you want one group policy to apply to everything, fine, do it. I use security groups. I like to be able to control how these systems get separated. For example, one employer I was at, we did it by location because we wanted to control whether this location when it got updates or when this location got updates. Maybe we had scheduling conflicts. And then I had a completely separate one for the servers. What works for you may not work for someone else. Find what works for your organization. You can also get updates whenever your system synchronizes and downloads new updates. Send an email. Let you get that report. Get status reports every day. What's the status of these systems? Once we get those, we can see here an overview of our server. We can see, example here, we can see there's 89 unapproved updates, 21 approved. I didn't approve all those. A whole bunch of them got automatically approved by that definition rule. If I click on the updates, I can see, wait, that looks different than mine. I can create custom views. So by default, I'm downloading critical updates. I'm downloading security updates. By default, it also does the WSUS updates. That's all. So that all updates, critical, security, and WSUS. That's all you would see. But you can define the way these views happen. If you come to this, expand this updates, and if you right-click, you can say New Update View. This allows you to perhaps pick a specific classification, a specific product. Maybe you can also download updates for your Microsoft Office platform. So maybe you have multiple Office platforms. You can do a grouping for each one of those so that you can see exactly what's pending, what's outstanding, what's got an error, where does it have that error. If you've got more than one type of Windows Server operating system, you've got Server 2019, Server 2016, Server 2012 R2. Remember, we don't replace everything as soon as something new comes out, right? Companies want to get return on investment. Be able to see exactly what is where and what the status is at any time from a single pane of glass, so to speak. Now, so for example, updates needed by computers. 6. What are they? Well, cumulative update, and then there's my automatically authorized Microsoft Defender updates. You say, oh, I want to see what computers need that update. You get a message, whoa! Feature unavailable. We want to see reporting. We want to see information. What'd you do, Microsoft? You have to install this report viewer before you can view the reports. However, it's not just that one thing. Let me show you something here. We're going to go to oh, you know what? I got to change my one setting here. We'll go here to the start, and I'm going to add documents and File Explorer over there on the right, or I'm sorry, over there on the left. So let's go to Documents. How to enable reports in WSUS. So there's a couple different things you have to do. You have to download this Microsoft System CLR types from Microsoft SQL Server 2012. That's the first thing we got to do. We're going to download the x64 package of that. So I'm going to copy this, Control C, and yep, we got to rely on Internet Explorer because we have nothing else installed here. Yep, we'll use that smart screen. It's still a pretty good idea. We'll paste in our link. Now, it's a feature pack. You'll notice this says SQL Server 2012 feature pack. We don't want the entire feature pack. We want that specific CLR. So we're going to go to Install Instructions. And right here is the listing of all those different features that you can install. I'm just going to do an F3 to find CLR. And there's our first occurrence. Next occurrence. Okay, there we are. Microsoft System Types for Microsoft SQL Server 2012, right? CLR types for Microsoft System Server 2012. That's what we want. We want the x64 package. We're going to go ahead and we're going to save that. Save it in our downloads. Now, we also need to get this runtime for the report viewer. This one, we can simply click download, and we're going to get it, or at least we should. Right there, report viewer. So we're going to go, we'll say save in that same location, the downloads folder. Doing security scan, all those good things. Let's go ahead and we'll view our downloads. First thing we need to put in is those CLR types. Next, agree, next, install. Yes, we do. And done. But, got to do that first. We'll run our report viewer MSI install. We can just go Alt-N, Alt-A, Alt-N, Alt-I. You don't even need to use your mouse. Takes too long to move that mouse around, right? Takes a few moments to install this. We should be done here in just a few moments. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get Internet Explorer closed. We don't need that README anymore, but if you want to, just take a screenshot of that so you've got those instructions. Alright. Okay, while this report finishes, report viewer, oh, no, never mind, it finished. Okay, let's see if it'll work. Nope. Let's close our WSUS. We're going to reopen WSUS. Now let's see if it'll open. There we go. It's generating our report. And there is our report. So we can see where the approval has taken place, which systems it needs, not installed, it's approved for install. You can click on and get status. There's no updates yet, no events yet. So this one here downloaded it, but we haven't run the install yet. That one hasn't done yet. Same thing, no events available. So we can see what's going on. You say, hey, how did you approve that for install? Well, let's say that there's an update pending that we need to have installed. And I'm just going to pick one of these with no status. I'm not going to approve it because it's not necessary, right? But let's say this first one. Let's say I had systems that needed this. How do I approve this? Well, I can come right over here to the right-hand column and click approve. I can right-click on it and click approve. And it shows you your groups. And you say, well, this is for Windows 10. I don't want to approve that for server. I'm going to approve that for desktops. Approve for install. Use granularity. Don't just approve Windows Server updates for your Windows 10 desktops. There's no point to it. Control who gets those updates. You would select it, approve, and here again you can use shortcuts. You can just do Control-I, Control-D to specify a deadline, and then click OK to approve it. And at that point, if that's a new approval, then you'll see them start to download here. So in a nutshell, that's how we do WSUS. So now that that's done, I'm going to jump over. We're going to get our Windows 10 machine up and running because I want to get that fully updated. I want to make sure it's got its latest updates, because what we're then going to do is we're going to sysprep that. We're going to capture that image and upload it to Windows Deployment System so we've got a fully patched copy of Windows 10 for deployment. At least fully patched to right now. So we're logging in as Normal Joe. Normal Joe is good to go. Take just a few moments for us to come up. While we're doing that, let's go back and take a look at that. Let's see, which one was it that we did the updates on? DFS1. We'll jump back over into that. I want to show you it's still I bet you it's still installing that update. Yep, see, still going. This may refresh a little bit, and we might see a little. It's just sitting there. Bye bye. Do your thing. Here's our Windows 10. So if I go to Start, go to Settings, Go to update and security. Look right here, we can see what policies there are. If we click on there, you can see update service for detecting updates, get updates for other Microsoft products, set that automatic update option, the hours before checking. So you can see some of these items that have been set. We can view our update history. There it's getting the intelligence update. It's getting update for Defender. If we look under update history, we can see we did a couple things. We did cumulative update. We did a servicing stack. FYI, when you install those servicing stack updates, they can be installed without a restart. So they're usually pretty easy to go in. We can see we already did one previous definition update. We're getting another. Got malicious software removal tool. This was all done just a couple days ago. Looking again. So it'd probably grab that Defender update. Updates available. If we look under advanced options, we can maybe meter the speed a little bit. Show notification when your PC requires a restart to finish updating. Well, you know what? You can flag that as one of the group policy settings so the user doesn't even need to set that. We can see, remember that group policy to get updates for other Microsoft products? It's grayed out because it's already set. We don't have to worry about a user making a change. Okay, so this is going to take care of its thing. I'm going to go ahead and close that for now. Once that's done, once it's fully updated, if it requires a restart, whatever it might need, that's what we're going to be using to capture. So we're going to be doing an update. One, I'm going to capture a copy of Server Core, and two, I'm going to capture a copy of Windows 10. This will allow me to have custom images that I can deploy rather than just a base image. So that's for our next video, which is going to add on to WDS Windows Deployment Services. For now, let's wrap it up. We can see we got a bunch of systems running here. We're working, we're doing it. Our network is up and running. We're functioning. This is what networking's all about. Until the next video, we'll take care. Everybody, if you like these videos, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next lesson or video. Take care, everybody.